Hi, guys. John, the firearms instructor. Sorry about that. Running a little late this afternoon. Excuse me. I've got to go over to Instagram real quick and make that live. And we're going to hit all these live in a couple different areas this week. And we're going to public. Hit next. And hit go live. All right, coming back to you guys. All right. Hello. How are you guys? Good evening. We're live streaming on podcasts. We're doing it on our Facebook. We're doing it on Instagram. We're doing it on a lot of different stuff. We are newly on Rumble, guys. If you haven't heard of Rumble, they are what we consider a 2A friendly company that don't deal with any of the bull crap, as in the the cancel culture. They're 2A friendly and all the bells and whistles that are available to it. You know the routine here. If you can, let us know. If you can hear us, okay, everything's coming out all right for us. And you can understand that we are where we are and you can hear us pretty well. It'll definitely make a difference on how we're doing. Natasha, how do I sound this evening? I hope I'm good. Natasha just tuned in. It looks like I'm having a little bit of difficulty with Instagram, so let's try to go back there one more time and see if we can hit go live. I'm just not having luck with that Instagram thing. Let's see if we can preview. Well, we're not going to spend a lot of time, and I'll just have to figure that out as we go here. And then we were going to be live on Rumble this evening, but it doesn't look like that's working either. So I got to figure all that out. Destination. Okay, so those two are out this evening. So we're just on Instagram, we're just on our Facebook page, and we're on Twitter. If you're a Twitter follower, we appreciate you being on there. And we're going to be doing a lot of different stuff this evening. I'm glad I sound good. Hope you're having a wonderful week. Loud and clear. David A. Thank you, babe. Dave, appreciate that. Natasha's mom, I hope you're doing wonderful, sweetheart. I hope you're doing great. I'm glad you're always my loyal listener. Coming through, Chris is saying I'm coming through great through YouTube. That's awesome. I have a little bit of Johnny Juice this evening. One of my buddies dropped off a little jug of something, and I'm having a little sip. So excuse me for that. It's been one of those days. And I've got a little bit of Gatorade and a little bit of Johnny Juice. So we're having a good time here this evening. So we got a great show for you. We're going to be covering a lot of different stuff. But one of the things I thought would be kind of cool is I went back and looked at 2 years of comments and questions that customers have asked, whether they've been on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, any of those places like that. And each one of them was painstakingly pulled out to find out exactly what they were asking. So it's going to be kind of cool because we're going to cover a lot of different things that newbies tend to ask. I can't say newbies because we get a lot of people who have shot a long time and just assume they knew this or knew that, and we kind of educate them on that. So this is kind of going to be a neat thing. Now, what I would love you guys to do is if I don't come up with something this evening that you need answered, why don't you give it to me? Why don't you let me know what your question is? And that's one of my main things I love to do is I love helping students get through their fundamentals the best I can. Most of these videos that we do on our YouTube channel are from comments from students or comments from people who've logged in on our YouTube channel and have come back with comments. I have been very fortunate that ever since we started our channel, we didn't really explode to the point that I could not respond to every comment. Now, I don't respond to all the stupid ones because I hate to say that, but people are rude and mean, and that's just part of the deal. I don't know why you spend your time scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the bullshit like that, and then come up with some mean comment to make about my weight or about my thumbs or about this or about that. Just I feel bad for those people that they got nothing else better to do to troll channels and just become a rude idiot. I mean, that's just all it is. And obviously, I hate to be like that, but that's part of the deal. And I just don't comment on those. But most everybody who ever comments, I try to put something in there to help them, support them in any way possible. And that's kind of what I want to do. This is why we did the YouTube very beginning, is to entertain, educate, and motivate. And I hope we offer you some of that this evening as we offer you that stuff. Hang on one second, folks. Hey, Jacob. Jake. Come plug this in. I think it dropped off or something. I don't want to lose it. I've got it's right over there. Just got to plug it back in. Somehow or another it got dropped off. It's plugged in over here. Just made a little bit of a, there we go, bud. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah. That camera's good. Yeah, we're good. Natasha says, anybody says anything mean about you, I will kick you out. I'll tell you a story, and this is kind of my deal. I have a thumb here that I've got some little bit of, for years and years of fishing and hunting. I got a little bit of fungus under that thumb, and I've had medicine taken and done everything, and it goes away, it comes back, goes away, it comes back. One of the first big videos that, one of the first big videos that ever went really, really popular. I was showing people how to hold a firearm, and I had that fungus thumb up in the camera, and I don't know how many how many comments I got on, oh my God, you got to get rid of that thumb. You got to do something about that thumb. It made me a little bit intimidated to even show my thumb on camera for a while there. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. I'm not the skinniest guy in the world. And, I thought I'd get a lot more fat jokes. I hardly get any fat stuff, but it's all the fun thumb stuff, or, the thumb thing. It was a year we went through the thumb fungus thing. So the people are just rude and obnoxious. So looks like we got a good group here already this evening. We got Danny, we got Natasha, we got Chris, we got Dave, and of course Natasha's mom. Hello, mommy. How are you doing? And Ralph is on. Ralph just said hello. Hello, Ralph. We're glad you're here. Tonight's show. I don't know if you've ever seen the Hodges twins, but I love the way they intro their videos, and I hope they don't get mad at me. But I'm going to tell you, we got a damn good show for you tonight, and that's they do that every time, and I love them guys. Damn good show. So we're doing a damn good show tonight. It's going to be about. Yeah, Dave, you are correct. Dave says, "Yep," but they watch and comment on all your videos. You know what? That has something to say with it. That is exactly what I said. If you are spending that much time running through, looking at all the videos, and you know what I normally do is I just comment, thank you for the comment. Thank you for the comment, because it does affect the algorithms. It does help the algorithms, and it does post. I am getting comments, so that means YouTube likes it. We're in one of those weird situations that YouTube doesn't like the GUNs, and they don't want us posting anything about GUNs. But at the end of it, it's part of my business. It's part of what I do. I'm here to help, support, and promote safety. And in that scenario, we have to work what we have to say and work what we do around everything to be very careful what we say and do. We could be demonetized very quickly, or we could be just kicked off. And these lives are not allowed to be, you know, that scenario. So we try to be as careful as we can with stuff. But yeah, Ralph, where you out of, buddy? It says the Antarctic. Are you in the Antarctic? Really? I mean, that is that a where you out of, Ralph? Let me know, buddy. I really want to know that. You got me intrigued there. It says streaming you are live at Antarctic today. So he might be from there. That's awesome. So today we're going to cover the questions. I'm on a ship in the Antarctic. Yeah. Wow. Awesome, Ralph. I'm glad to hear that, buddy. That's pretty. This is what's impressive to me. This is why I love this YouTube thing as much as I do, because how many people I get to meet and see and talk to and you know have conversations with that Ralph and I would never have known each other except for the YouTube channel and what it did for me to get these lives out there. Um, Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's still Dave says thumbs up, thumbs down. Still channel. Keep them coming. Oh, I appreciate that, Dave. I appreciate it, buddy. That means a lot to me. Yeah, Ralph says no range time here. I guess not, buddy. I guess not. But that's awesome, Ralph. Are you from YouTube? You found us off of YouTube, Ralph? Or were you off some other way of getting to us? Are you on our Facebook page or on YouTube? You don't mind me asking you, sir. William Hancock, how are you, sir? I'm glad you're here tonight. That's very cool. Very cool. I love this. We're building these viewers up more and more and more each week, and we're getting to see a lot more people. We have our regulars that come in, like Natasha and Chris and some other guys, but we're getting a lot more of these names we don't recognize, which is kind of cool. Oh, okay. Ralph's from Normie from Brazil. I was just going to mention somebody from Brazil, but I'm on YouTube. All right, cool, Ralph. That's good to hear, buddy. So yeah, so this tonight, what I did is I took the videos. It took me a little bit to kind of go through them because I kind of went through the top 10, top 15 questions that I thought people were asking, and I went back and reviewed it. There's no real system that allows me to test this the way I want to do it. But I kind of remembered in regards to what people normally ask here at the range, as well as the videos I've done in the past, that helps people with certain things. Never forget, guys, if you're having a problem at the range, I'm always here for you. You can either take a picture or a video of what's happening at the range. I think I've told you guys before. Johnny and I started my oldest boy Johnny started a set of videos that was called the Shot Doctor, and of course Johnny took my head and put it on the doctor's body with a stethoscope, and then we would look at the targets, and I would identify what I thought the problem was. And those Shock Doctor videos were very popular. They ran their course, but obviously, how many times can you tell somebody putting too much finger in the gun and they're pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger? But there was a few that were interesting, like shooting high or high and right and doing all that stuff. So we were able to educate ourselves on a lot of different that stuff. And those, if you have an opportunity to watch some of those are pretty good terminations on what I see people are doing with the pistol, which you may not notice or you may not even see. So let's go ahead and get to the video. We're going to try something a little different today. I'm going to add it in, which is going to make me that size. So some people are asking, they want to see me while I'm talking, and I don't know if it's that important to see me while I'm talking, but obviously I want to do what you guys want me to do. So we're going to go a little large, so hope that's not interfering too much. But when I do it like this, I'm not going to be able to answer the questions. So we're going to do this and then we're going to come back and answer any questions you have or comments that you're going to have. Now, remember, if you're new to the channel, you need to let us know where you're from and where you're from. So, in other words, where you're from has been your place of birth and city and state and where you're at right now. And then where you're from, meaning YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever the things like that. Now, tonight we're not really posting on those because we're having a little bit of a little mechanical issue there. But we want to make sure that we know and respond to each one of you because you're taking your hard-earned time to spend time with me. So, subscribers' common questions. Here are 10 common questions that a newbie asks about shooting. Now, obviously, this doesn't have to be all kinds of questions, but mostly of them are repeatable all the time. There's the same ones they ask over and over and over again. Excuse me one second. Get a little bit of Johnny juice there. All right. And that's not me, it's Johnny. One of my buddies brought me a little jug of something. So we're adding a little bit of Gatorade to it and having a good time. So, all right. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard of Rumble, and I'm going to invite you into Rumble. And if you click this link down below, if you have a phone, it's going to allow you to do it. But these will be on our description of the page as well. And Rumble is a new friendly 2A option to video sharing platform. Uniquely, as you know, YouTube is the giant when it comes to video platforming, monetization, all the stuff like that. And they've got a great thing, and we're still going to stay on YouTube. But the cool thing is now we're going to be on Rumble. Rumble's a little more 2A friendly. It's a good option. It's not into the cancel culture, and they're not into all the BS or the bullshit that happens in the world base. And you know, us small creators are in only in blessing of them keeping us on each week. I fight with a lot of the other social media content places due to the fact that 90% of my business has to do with GUNs, and they don't like that at all. So if you have an opportunity to visit Rumble, there is my link there, and this will put me registering you through me, and I get a little compensation for that. Does not affect your platform at all, but there are a lot of um, good guys. I guess. Be careful what I say here. There are a lot of these. You need to try out Rumble, check it out, see what it is. I'm taking most of my YouTube stuff and being able to use both platforms to educate with you, and I would highly recommend that you join us. I'm not saying leave any platform at all. I'm just saying that there are other options. Dan Bongino is part of the owners of this thing. This is it's got a lot of what you want, guys. If you're in what we do and you're into the scenarios that we do now, and we see what the world is becoming, Rumble is a place that's going to allow us to communicate and not have to be worried about what we are saying or how we are saying it. So if you get an opportunity, in the description below, there'll be a link to welcome you to the Rumble platform, and check it out and see if it's something that you really, really want. They are new. They're not that old, like 2013 or something like that. It is a Ontario-based company, but their headquarters is in Longboat Key. So it is very, very, very good for us, and it gives us another platform to share our information on that will be accepted without being looked at as the devil. So if you get an opportunity, please join us. Okay, next is promoting our free book right now. The free book is there. There is the key code here. This is the interactive free book, 10 Secrets from a Firearms Instructor. This would be a great option to give somebody who's thinking about or wanting to start shooting and they want to spend a little time. The cool thing about this interactive book is not only do you have the words in there that you're going to read, but each tip is going to have a private video that you're going to have a link to that you're going to be able to watch as well. These books are free right from our website. All you got to do is go to my website or click this QR code down below and get that book, read it, watch it, see it, do it. You'll find you'll become more proficient with this free to you. Doesn't cost you a dime, just some time. Doesn't cost you a dime, just some time. Oh, that's good. I'm a poet, don't even know it. I rhyme every time. If you get an opportunity to get this book, I think you'll really like it. We are really, really liking giving these ebooks out now because they are giving us that platform that we need to share our knowledge and to get other people to it. It would be great to share with somebody too, someone who's thinking about going range time, someone thinking about going shooting. It's going to give them a great foundation to get started with before they ever get to the range. They'll have some good knowledge about grip and stance and trigger control and sight picture and sight alignment. It is the secrets. It's the stuff I use every day in every class, and I just put it in the free book for you guys. Get an opportunity, pick one of these up. It's downloadable. Just watch it. You read it. You just keep it on your thing. And if you use one of your phones, all those videos will be downloadable. You click the link and watch the video as well as read each tip. So it's kind of cool and neat. All right, so we're going to start with these questions. And each question has one of my videos as well as why people are asking the questions. And it's common. One of the first things people do when they come to the range and they don't know much about anything is they're going to ask, how do I properly grip a firearm? And it's normally in that same scenario, like, how do I shoot a gun? How do I hold a gun? How do I control a gun? These are all common topics that people are asking. Not every one of them says exactly the same thing. And it has to do really is what dominant hand you are versus what dominant eye you are, and vice versa. But this video here explains proper grip pretty well. We're not going to go through me showing you a proper grip because you can actually go this video right here and watch it, and it'll tell you exactly how to hold on to a gun, but very easily to give you a concept is your dominant hand holds the pistol, your non-dominant hand controls the pistol. If you get that in your brain more than anything, what I'm trying to tell you more than anything else is your right hand. I'm right-handed and I'm right-eye dominant. So my right hand is going to hold on to the pistol. And why is that? Because we only have 3 fingers technically holding on to the gun on your right hand because your trigger finger and your thumb are along for the ride. And then if you take your non-dominant hand, you have these 4 fingers. I got to get this camera right here. You get these 4 fingers that are going to control the gun, which means mathematically, if I have 4 fingers holding onto the pistol versus 3 fingers holding onto the pistol, which one's going to give us more positive grip? The one with the 4 fingers. So with the 4 fingers, that's going to give you more control. So if you're holding on with your right hand, you're going to control it with your left hand. And vice versa, if you're left-handed and your right hand is going to hold on, control it, and your non-dominant hand, your dominant hand is going to hold it. That's very common. And the secret really is making sure the weapon's over your dominant eye. You got to marry the weapon and the eye together, and that's the easiest way to control a weapon. You know, there's obviously grip and stance and trigger control, but one of the questions that I get 90% of the time when a new student comes in, they really have no idea how to control the weapon. Which you control the weapon, you control the recoil. You control the recoil, you're going to prove your accuracy. Because muzzle flipping and all that stuff, a lot of people who don't hold on to the pistol properly is the ones that are having most of the recoil management issues. So proper grip will solve a lot of that very quickly, very quickly. So let's go on to the next one here. Number 2 is, what's the difference between single action and a double action trigger? Now, it's very unlikely that a newbie basically is wanting a double action 9 millimeter pistol. Now, there are a ton of people who do, and I take heat on that, but I could tell you that most people who are starting new to shooting are not going to want the complications of a double action, single action, semi automatic pistol. And I'll give you to kind of explain to you right off about what I mean. So, if we're looking at these revolvers, it's the easiest way to explain this to you. The one on the bottom is one of the cowboy guns, if you kind of think about it. This will not fire. This revolver will not fire unless that trigger, that that hammer, the one up top there, is cocked back. And once it's cocked back in a single action system, which means I have to cock this hammer back every time before I pull the trigger. And that would be considered single action. Where if you look at the revolver on top, this is a double and single action pistol. So I can actually take the trigger on this revolver and pull it back, which will allow the hammer to come back to a certain point until the trigger releases it, and it would let it fall forward. And that would be considered double action. But if I were to take my thumb and cock this top revolver, then it would be single action. Now, normally a revolver in a defensive situation would never be cocked by a thumb. It would always be double action shot. Double action is a safer ability for somebody who is new to shooting. They would want to cock that gun and walk around their house with it, because what tends to happen, and I won't be able to show you this, but you could imagine if I cock the hammer on the double action, single action revolver up top, what happens to that trigger is it falls all the way to the back side of that gun and makes it very light trigger pull. And the lighter the trigger pull, the more dangerous it could be for someone who doesn't know how much pressure they need to put on the trigger to make it go bang. So that's pretty easy for me to show you in a revolver form. Now, in real life, what do they have? They have a semi-automatic double action only, which means it has to pull the trigger, the hammer comes back, boom, boom. They have a double action, single action. They have striker fire, which is like the Glocks and some of the Smiths. They have striker fire. They have single action, like the 1911 style. So there's a lot of different pistols on the market, and each one of them has that same concept. Probably the best for a newbie is in that striker fire. Racking the slide puts the hammer. If you don't have it's an internal hammer, not a physical hammer on the outside of the gun. At that point in time, once it's racked, it's loaded, and you just engage the trigger and it cycles through. People get kind of concerned about a safety. We need a safety. These two revolvers you're looking at here are the safety on the gun. A 1911 style semi-automatic, which is single action, if the hammer's forward, that weapon will not fire unless you cock it, and you gotta cock it back. But the problem with cocking a 1911 style pistol is that the hammer's back until you make it go forward, and there is no what's considered a decocker. So in other words, if you wanna have that hammer closed on that weapon, you're going to need to pull the trigger and let the hammer come forward with your thumb, which is probably not the easiest thing for most students. And then trying to explain a double action, single action, decocker to a new student, it just goes over their head, if that makes sense. And I take a lot of heat from people going, the double action is the safest gun you can have in your hand. It is if you know what the hell you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's just a big learning curve that people have to do. And it's more points and little pieces and parts that maybe a newbie doesn't need. You know, we sell the equalizer an awful lot, Smith& Wesson equalizer, and I can tell you that is a simple weapon. You load the magazine, you rack the slide, you close the hammer, you rack the slide, the gun's ready to rock and roll. It has a backstrap safety on it, but you can't get those with wall safeties. And I will tell you this, in my opinion, the only safety on a firearm, now I'm talking about handguns now, is that your trigger finger. Because the mechanical safety is a switch, and it can fail. I've seen them fall. I've seen them fail. Or they're wing safeties, and they're mechanically put on by the student. And then all of a sudden, the next time they come out, they pulled it out of their purse, they put it somewhere, the safety wasn't on. Somehow mechanically it got turned off. Now, if that student's not educated enough to understand that, when they go to put their finger on the trigger, thinking the safety's on that gun, and the weapon fires. Or vice versa, they think the safety's off and the safety's on, and in a defensive situation, they can't figure out why the gun's not firing. I'm going to tell you, as I tell every student here, if you want a safety on a firearm, you need to manipulate that safety every time you load and shoot that pistol, or you're not going to remember it in a high stress situation. We're trying to build as much muscle memory as possible, and it becomes very challenging for people, especially new students, with the nerves that are being happening. Remember, some of these people who are coming into the range here that I teach on a regular basis are coming from those states that criminalized a GUN to a point where they're so afraid that it's going to jump off the table and chase you around the room and shoot you in the foot. Remember, a firearm is nothing but a tool, and what do tools need? They need a craftsman, and that's what you need to become. So, educating yourself on the whole process is important, but double action, single action, best pistol for you is the one that you think you can operate anytime you need to. And if you need more on this, we would love to help you as much as possible. There's plenty of videos on our YouTube channel about that, which the proper gun for me and all that stuff like that. All right. Let's see if I got that one. All right. So number 3, how do I safely load and unload a handgun? Now I'm going to give you my way I teach all my students. And this is a great video because it walks you through it systematically. So, but I want you to remember as much as possible this acronym I'm going to give you, which is called DROP, DROP. And it spells drop. So what's that mean? What means if you have a semi-automatic pistol, and I want you to get your head around that. In this picture, I have a Glock, maybe a 19. I'm not sure. Maybe a 43X. I don't know what that is. I can't tell because Johnny made me look like a big side of the wall there. So let's just say it doesn't matter what it is. A magazine has rounds in it. Can you tell me what the life of the gun is? Is it the bullets? Is it the weapon? Or is it the magazine? If you said magazine, you are correct. Because the magazine does what? It feeds the weapon. It holds the bullets. It holds the bangs, right? It holds the bullets. And if I take that weapon and I put a bullet in there, I can't put the bullet in there without having a magazine. Well, I guess you could put one in the chamber, but that'd be kind of crazy to do that. But once we load the magazine, right? And now we gotta get the hand right. Now we take the magazine and we put it in the gun and we rack the slide. At that point in time, we have a hot gun in our hand. Because when we racked the slide, one come off the magazine and went in the chamber. A lot of people don't know, not only does that put one in the chamber, but it cocks it. If you look at a Glock, for instance, that trigger is far back until you rack the slide. And once you rack the slide, it puts the trigger forward, which loads the trigger, basically, if that makes sense. So now we have a loaded gun in our hand. I do this for every student at the end of all of our classes. We go through loading and unloading sequence. This is the most important thing I can give you guys because at the end of it, every firearm is loaded. You just assume that. We're going to talk about that in a few seconds, but just assume every firearm is loaded and no matter if the magazine's open or magazine's in or the magazine's out, we just assume there's a bullet in the chamber. And that's a safe way to put yourself in this position. So now we have the magazine and the gun. It's sitting on the table, and I asked the student, how do we unload this pistol safely that we know we're not going to engage or pull the trigger? And I give them an acronym called DROP. The very first thing we need to do is take the life out of the gun. I told you what the life of the gun was. It's the magazine. So we need to take the magazine out of the weapon. Once we take the magazine out of the weapon, is that weapon unloaded at that point in time? No. Where could one be? One could be in the chamber. So now we want to take the magazine out of we want to rack the slide to get the bullet out of the chamber. We want to rack it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it needs to do. Then once you've got it racked and you think it's unloaded, you need to put the gun in a safe position and slide lock. Remember, a semi-automatic pistol with an empty magazine, it'll stay open anyways. Most pistols do. Some of the 380s don't do that, but most all your, the carry pistols are all going to stay open on its last shot. And once the weapon is open as last shot, you're going to physically check or pinky check. Now you see me pinky checking in this picture here, and that's just me sticking my finger in the gun to make sure that hole where the barrel is empty. That DROP could save your life for someone you love. This is very important, guys, because you're taking a firearm. Most of my students are newbies. So I want to make sure they understand when they take this gun home and it's a husband and wife, we assume what, ladies and gentlemen? The gun's loaded. Where's our finger not going to be? Not going to be on the trigger. We're not going to point it We're not going to point it at anybody we love. We're going to keep the point in a safe direction and all that wells. But unloading a semi-automatic pistol or any other weapon at all, what you have to do is take the life out of it. And most of your semi-automatic pistols, the life is the magazine. Remove the magazine by dropping it, racking the top slide, getting the round out of there. So if the bullet isn't in the magazine, it's in the gun. And if you rack the slide, you're going to take that magazine out. Now we want to rack that a couple times. And then we want to open the weapon. Open the weapon by putting it in a slide lock. Look through the weapon. Beautiful about semi-automatic pistols is if you look through the top of it, you can go look all the way through the bottom of it. So you can see daylight all the way through it. And P is physically check or pinky check. Those are easy to say. Watch this video 4 or 5 times to make sure you understand it. Make sure everybody in the family understands how to load a pistol and how to unload a pistol. That's the key thing. Got husbands and wives come to the range all the time. Husband wants to buy a gun or wife wants to buy a gun and the husband wants nothing to do with it. which I respect that, but I cannot have him go home or her go home with this weapon without physically making sure they understand how to load and unload the weapon. And I offer those classes very free. Next time she comes in, have her come back or him come back and make sure she understands how to unload it and load it. Because the key thing is you can't be guessing that stuff in a high stress situation because there is no muscle memory at that point in time. So number 3 is, how do I safely unload a semi-automatic pistol? Okay, so I put the next one in as the basic rules. So what do we know? We know we need to treat the weapon as if it's loaded. If the weapon is loaded, where's your finger not going to be? It's not going to be on a trigger. Number 2 is, you're never going to point the weapon at anything you love and don't want to destroy. Obviously, number 3 is keep your finger off the trigger. Number 4 is know your target and what's beyond. And here at the range, we add a 5th one in, is keeping the weapon pointed downrange. What's downrange mean? Downrange means away from you. Obviously, there's a bad end and a good end of a pistol. We don't want to be on the bad end of it. And in the range, we don't want to turn it right or left. We're always going to keep it pointed downrange. And this is every range has that same rule. You can't shoot your pistol, turn your pistol, take your magazine out, having it turned left or right. Imagine if you're in the lane next to this person and they're turning their pistol to get their magazine out of it. You're waving your firearm at somebody. And obviously you're not doing it on purpose, but it does aggravate people, if that makes sense. So please, please, please make sure you understand. Always keep the weapon pointed down range. All right, number 5 would be, how do I accurately excuse me, how accurate secrets to aiming a pistol. Sorry about that. I'm trying to read it and do this thing at the same time. Basically, how do I aim a pistol? And this is one of our biggest videos we ever did, and I'm trying to explain to you a little bit of how to use your sights on a weapon to become more proficient. It's not rocket science, guys. Obviously, we want to make sure you're going to hear it again and again. You're probably sick of me saying it, but a level pistol shoots level. And if you kind of look at this picture, those 3 dots are the corresponding dots on your pistol. So you have 2 dots in the back, 1 dot in the front. And obviously, if we took that green sight system that you see there and held it on the weapon itself on the 6 o'clock hold of the target, that would be a level pistol. And if that front post that's in the middle by my chin was up higher than the 2 dots in the back, the weapon be shooting high or low. This isn't rocket science, guys, but it is something little tactical that people need to see. One of the questions I normally get is, where am I supposed to put this sight? Where am I supposed to? I'll give you my advice. You got to see what you're aiming at. And this is the challenge of most people. Excuse me one second, guys. If you kind of think about it, where is your pistol and where's your sights? Or where's your barrel and where's your sights? Now, obviously, everything fights gravity. Everything fights gravity. So if you imagine your sights are above the barrel, and if I were to aim with my sights and that barrel was below the sights, those two would never match up to each other unless we had some travel of the bullet. And the manufacturers of all the guns have figured this out pretty well. Somewhere between 12 and 15 feet is where the two cross each other on a regular basis. And we need to make sure that we're following that, because you got to think about a bullet traveling in a straight line, and all of a sudden now you've got a bullet traveling in a straight line. They would never cross each other. But what happens, if you kind of look at this more than anything else, is your sights are up here, but your barrel is pointed at an angle. and it's just minute angle, but it does affect each other. So your zero becomes down there. So in this video, we talk about that 6 o'clock hold or the point below what you're aiming at because they're going to impact each other. That's what I teach most of my students, and they become very, very accurate by doing that because what tends to happen is we get that consistent point of aim. With the consistent point of aim on a regular basis, you're going to be a lot more accurate with it. If I told you to put your barrel directly in the center of the target, you couldn't find the center of the target because you couldn't see the center of the target. So we got to physically vision what we're looking for. And I always tell students about the golf ball and the golf tee. Imagine if we took that circle that was behind my head. I should have done some kind of target base, but let's say we have a small circle there, right? The small circle, and then we put our barrel directly on that circle. We would be shooting higher than that because that's where the bullet was going to be impacting high because of target base. But if I were to take the golf tee, which is your front post, and put the circle on top of that or the lollipop, you're going to be more accurate. You have more consistent point of aim due to the fact. One of the important things to get your brain about is the negative space between the three dots. That's the key, really, guys, because not only does a firearm level the gun out this way, up and down, but it levels the gun out right or left, too. And the reason why it does that is because you have negative space equal, the gun would be equal. But if you had one shorter than the other, the gun would be. These sight systems not only level it up and down, but they left and right too. And once you get the concept of that in your brain, you become more accurate very quickly because it just totally makes sense to you. And one of the biggest questions, no matter if you're a brand new shooter or some of these guys have been here for years and years of shooting with us, I always go back and catch them doing something crazy with their gun because they don't actually get the concept of where they need to aim, or they're doing a lot of bringing their neck down and shooting through the pistol. Your best solution, guys, for shooting through a pistol is keeping your head up and your arms out, that you're not lowering your neck to get to the gun. Because once you start doing that neck lower, you're going to have that gun in a weird angle. Same thing, effect of if you have your bending your wrist while aiming the gun versus your waist at aiming the gun. I tell you this all the time. Imagine a pole between your two hips. You want to bend on that waistline, not anywhere else besides that. Because if you start bending your wrist when you're shooting, that's going to give you a total different angle. All right. Number 6 is what's trigger control and why is it important? Well, you guys don't know that. That trigger control is so important. But this question's asked an awful lot because someone's telling them, I get students all the time, I don't understand what you mean by press or pull a trigger. And that's we always talk about. Don't pull that trigger, press that trigger. And they visually can't see that they're pulling the shit out of that trigger. What manipulates a firearm the most? There's 2 things that manipulate a firearm: is a trigger pull and a bad grip. Those 2 things are a large percent of what causes inaccuracy with a pistol. Over gripping with your dominant hand, under gripping with your non-dominant hand, not allowing the non-dominant hand to control the weapon, pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger where you can visually see it. You guys all have felt a trigger press and a trigger pull. The biggest thing I could give you is that a firearm is a bully and it needs to be controlled. You give it anything, it's going to take it. So what I try to get people to understand, like anything else, let's go out to the creek right now. Let's put a bobber in the water. Let's put a little shiner on there. And we see all the snook on the other side of the creek, or the old big bass on the other side of the creek. And somehow or another, we've made a decision to put a bunch of slack in our line. Now, all of a sudden, that big 6-pound bass or that 27-inch snook comes up there and takes your bobber underwater, and you go to set the hook on that fish. Well, guess what? You're not going to catch that fish because you ain't got all that slack taken out of it yet. So we got to make sure we take the slack out of the trigger before we engage the trigger. And this is a very challenging thing to get new students to do on a regular basis, to do the fact the anticipation monster that's inside every one of us, it's screaming its head off because it doesn't know what the heck you're doing. And you're at the range, and every time you touch that pistol, it's recoiling, it's making a big loud noise, it's rattling out of my hands, and it's causing me to build this anticipation or flinch. And as we flinch the weapon, you can drop a bullet a good 2.5 feet. I've seen it. You imagine if you move the pistol this much in a 10 yards, 15 yards, that could be 1.5 feet. The target stay on it, 1.5 feet, because you're pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger. Here's the trick. Ready? A shot should surprise you. And if it's not surprising you, then you're pulling the shit out of that trigger. And the more you pull out of the trigger, that's where that low comes from. When someone's shooting a pistol and they're aiming in the center of the paper plate or the center of the red dot, and they're hitting at 6 o'clock or they're hitting at 7 o'clock. Normally it's anticipation low and left is what normal happens to right-handed students that are right-eye dominant. They shoot low and left. Someone who's left-handed and right-eye dominant is going to shoot low and right because of a couple different things. One, they got the weapon over their nose and not over their dominant eye. Two, they've got the weapon in a improper grip. And three, they're slapping the shit out of that trigger. And the more you slap that trigger, the more it's going to be very challenging to become proficient with a pistol when you're slapping them. You can't slap them, you got to press them. Okay. Number 7 is what is trigger control and why is it important? This is me explaining trigger press the best I can. Both these are commonly asked over and over and over again, so I put both of them back to each other, but they pretty much are the same thing. We just got to get someone to understand how much trigger needs to go in the gun. We can't put our whole finger in the gun. We got to use the tip of our finger. Be honest with you, it's all about how your hand is. Obviously, I have small thumbs, so when I go to put my finger in this gun, I need to use the very tip of my fingers to keep my gap properly on the trigger. Some people may use more mid finger, but the more finger you put in this gun, the more control you're going to put on the weapon, and the more left you'll shoot or right you'll shoot. I have a tendency to shoot low and left unless I adjust my trigger just perfectly. On top of, I need to make sure that weapon's over my dominant eye and not over my nose. And those 3 things there will make you a better shooter all about it. So number 7 was trigger control. And why is it important? We know why it's important because it's going to make you more accurate. And the more accurate you are, the more confident you are. The more confident you are, the more accuracy happens. So that's the key. When you come to the range and you're running 50 rounds and you're getting 40% where it needs to go, that's not very good. But if you come to the range and you start shooting and you become more proficient, now you get 80, 85%. We all miss, guys. I miss all the time. And there's no questions asked there. No one's perfect with a firearm. And if we are perfect, we're probably shooting too slow. I'm not a bullseye shooter. I'm a defensive accuracy shooter. And I work on those 3-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch circles and make sure at any distance someone puts that on me, I'm going to be able to hit. Because realistically, you really think about it, the vital triangle starts at the shoulders and goes to the groin. So that's a pretty big area, guys. You don't have to be a bullseye accuracy to be proficient with a pistol. You just got to be able to hit that defensive act. You got to hit that vital triangle the best you can. All right. Number 8 is what type of handgun? I get this an awful lot. What kind of firearm should I use for self defense? Should I use a revolver? Should I use a 380? Should I use a 9 millimeter? Here's the challenge with all this stuff. Excuse me, guys. Ooh, ooh. The challenge of this is the more we choose one firearm for everything, the more challenging it becomes for us. But if we're coming to the range to buy one pistol for everything, I'd recommend something with a 4-inch or 3.6 or a 3.1-inch barrel. Doesn't matter which manufacturer. I'm going to tell you Smith & Wesson because I love them so much. But Glock, Smith, Taurus, Ruger, don't matter. I mean, that's the name brands we carry on a regular basis. There are so many different models out. There's the SIG, there's the Hellcats from Springfield. Any of those are going to work, but you can't expect the one gun to do what all of them will do. Now, those 3.6, and 4-inch are the most accurate pistols you could put in your hand. They're going to have good sighting systems. They're going to be optic ready if you want them to. They're going to have high capacity. That's probably what I would choose for you first. That's what we normally do for students. But if someone comes here and wants to buy a little pistol for the first gun, we try not to recommend that. We try to recommend you buy that after you're comfortable shooting. Because many women come in, and I'm not picking on the ladies, and many men come in not knowing the difference either, is they want to get a little gun for their wife. And I go, has she shot before? And they say no. And I say, well, the little gun's going to have twice as much recoil as a big gun. And they look at me like I'm got a hole in my head. Think about this, guys. Let's do a test here. Let's take a golf ball and a ping pong ball and put them on a table and blow on them. Which is going to blow away faster, the ping pong ball, right? Because of less weight. Well, the recoil management on a small pistol, a small pocket pistol, is not going to be fun to take to the range and shoot on a regular basis. And most of your 380s, besides the Ruger Max, does not have any kind of sighting system on them. They have a front blade and a black view, or very little. So they're going to be more challenging to learn to shoot. My concept is to get you something you're comfortable shooting on a regular basis, because before you even think about carrying, guys, you got to get that muscle memory factor in you and be shooting on a regular basis, right? You know how many concealed carry classes I did last year? Majority of the people coming to class had not shot over a year and a half. And now they want to buy a gun and carry it on a regular basis without taking training classes. That's one thing about Florida. They don't require you to take a class about shooting class. They just want you to take the bare minimum to get your concealed weapons license. And that's shooting 2 rounds downrange, and don't shoot the instructor. If you get that, you pass and you qualify. And you should be a little worried about that in the areas where people are, that there is no qualification. Now, I don't think we need to put some high resolution, big challenge for people, because, who really needs a firearm nowadays, guys, is the seniors. When you're 65, 55, well, I'm 55 and up, we're not going to have the gas we did when we were kids. So having that equalizer, having something to protect us is kind of key. But in the real world, we don't want to put some kind of hurdle that people can't pass. But in the long run, you got to be educated enough to know how to use the pistol. So, what's the best pistol for you? This is a great video, and I can sum it up in 2 words: the one you like, can shoot, the one you can control and be accurate with. That's it. So there is no one gun for everybody. There's no such thing as a woman's gun. There's no such thing as a senior gun. There's no such thing like that. It's a weapon that you can control. Now, there are some senior-friendly and women-friendly firearms out there nowadays, Smith and Wesson has filled the void with that equalizer and that EZ. Those two pistols there are cat's meow, and they last forever, and they shoot really well, and there's no real issue with them. But there are a lot of ladies who don't like that backstrap safety that's on those guns, so they go with the Glock 43X. A lot of women are just trying to find something they can rack and manipulate on a regular basis. And this is what I would tell you, and this is what I'll tell you till I'm blue in the face. You cannot buy a gun or a weapon or a tool without shooting it first. You need to make sure you can operate it, you can rack it, you can load it, you can shoot it. Do you know how many ladies who come in here that go out to the big box stores, buy a revolver because someone told her, whether it be a brother, uncle, aunt, cousin, whatever, the women only need to shoot a revolver, which is bullshit. But the whole point is that women can't rack a slide. Women can do anything a man can do. The challenge with most women is the dexterity and that finger right there to pull a 10.5-pound trigger pull on a revolver, which they can't do. You know how many revolvers I get in on trade from these ladies who go out to Bass Pro Shop and buy a gun because the neighbor's cousin, uncle, brother told her this is the best pistol for you. And it technically wasn't the best pistol for her. She goes and spends all that money, comes back out, and she has to trade it in on something she can operate. So you get an opportunity, shoot it before you buy it. Please, please. You're local here, come here. I'll take care of you. We'll get it all done. But if you're not, find a gun range that will show you what it is. Because, some guru on YouTube telling you this is the best pistol for you, you don't listen to them. You listen to yourself. It's like me buying you a pair of shoes. I can't buy you a pair of shoes. I can't buy any. I don't dare buy my wife a pair of shoes. I give her a credit card and let her go. I'll go with her. But she's got to touch them, feel them, and see them. The same thing you should do, guys. All right. Number 9 is how to clean and maintain a weapon. Now, this is the easiest thing ever because here in our range, you come up here on Sunday when Jacob's here, he cleans for free. That's one of the perks of being a family-owned business. But Mr. Jacob, he doesn't clean them for free. He educates you. He takes you fishing. He doesn't fish for you. He treats you how. He teaches you how. He shows you how. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. But if you can't get here, go right to YouTube. Every gun. I don't think there's a gun on YouTube. I don't think there's a manufacturer that has not been cleaned by somebody and videotaped by somebody on YouTube. So there are plenty of places. It is simple, guys. It just, without getting too complicated in the scenario, we need to be able to take the gun apart as best we can. We need to get some kind of bore cleaner. We need to get some kind of oil. And what we need to clean the barrel. We need to clean the internals of it as best we can. We need to oil the internals as best we can and put the gun back together and wipe all your fingerprints off it. It's simple. It's easy. It's not hard to do. It's not rocket science or anything else like that. And be honest with you, firearms are meant to be ran dirty to begin with. They're not precise piece of equipment that needs to be spotless to clean. You will never have a spotless firearm because you can't clean it well enough to get it spotless. But this video, we go through cleaning kits, cleaning styles, cleaning everything else like that. You could get a bore snake, which is probably the easiest thing to do. A bore snake slips to the top of the barrel, comes through the bottom of the barrel. You can put your oil and your cleaner on there, pull those through. Taking the gun apart, you take the magazine out, grab you a toothbrush, preferably your excess toothbrush. You're never going to use it again. And then just clean up the gun the best you can. Bore cleaners are very inexpensive. The cool thing about 9mm, 38, 357, and 380, They're all the same jag, so you're not buying 5 different kits or anything else like that. It's not rocket science, not hard. We cleaned this video showed me cleaning a Smith & Wesson equalizer, but it's the same routine no matter what pistol we use. I would tell you once you get past 500 rounds, the first 500 rounds, I wouldn't clean the gun. We don't recommend anybody clean the gun in the first 500 rounds because we want, if there's going to be a problem, it's going to be in those first 500 rounds. And most of the manufacturers recommend cleaning it before you shoot it to begin with. I'm not I'm not telling you don't do that. I'm just telling you that's not something we recommend. We want to work that gun as best we can and get it comfortable, get it shooting. And then once we get it dirty, then you can come down and we'll teach you how to clean it, or you can watch one of our videos, which we have plenty of them. You don't have to go to our videos. There's plenty of, if you put Taurus G2 cleaning, there's going to be 6 videos. Sometimes people get winded and go through a lot more stuff you need to do. You take that little bar down the bottom and just get to the point of taking it apart and cleaning it. Pretty simple and easy. So, not rocket science, something you can figure out pretty easy yourself. Okay. Number 9, what are the legal requirements do I need to be aware of when owning and carrying a firearm? Now, I'm going to tell you guys, there's a lot of that in here. We live in Florida. Florida is a great state. We are the gunshine state. If you take a look at Florida, what it looks like a gun. So we are that state, but the challenge is we are really civilly a large problem for us. You got a bad guy in the middle of the living room and you have to engage him to stay alive. No, not only could he, if you didn't sue you, but any of his family members could. So you need to have some protection. Remember, a firearm is there for your protection, but you need to have someone that's got your back. We don't want a public defender defending us in a case like this because the public defender and the prosecutor are not enemies, they're buddies. And we recommend a company called Delta Defense. And Delta Defense is a legal insurance company that helps you get through any kind of situation you be in, whether it comes from bond or 24/7 access or being in a defensive situation. It covers all 50 states. You know, you can't carry in all 50 states. Either there's memberships available in this, $2 million worth of limited liability, $10 million worth of incidental expenses, $750 a day lost earnings. It covers all self-defense acts, which is very important because you may not be using that firearm to defend yourself in a hotel room. You may be using that ironing board that's on the wall over there, or you may be using your vehicle to get out of a situation like that. One of the coolest things about this Delta Defense is they have the mobile reciprocity app. And this is kind of one of the most important educational things you can do because as you're traveling in a vehicle, why we get our conceal, why we carry a weapon is to defend ourselves as we travel. Most vulnerable in 3 places: our home, our car, our hotel room. And this company would back us through all those things as long as we are doing it on a defensive situation and not pulling a gun in rage and anger. Now, Delta Defense has a lot of different, they have 3 sets of programs for you. They have a platinum, gold, and a silver. I would highly recommend you start with the platinum because you're going to get the $80 gift from them, which is an ammo can, hat, and it's got some training Glock that you can use, which is a plastic Glock. And it gives you a whole list of training drills you can do with that Glock from the comfort of your own home through dry firing and things like that. You know, the cool thing about them is they are a full training company as well. We are certified through them. Our whole family is Jacob, Johnny, Heidi, and myself, and we use their system all the time. If you're interested in getting some legal protection while you're getting your concealed, in the link below there'll be a full thing you can sign up for and find out more information about that. Now, this is a true insurance company, so you got to remember there'd be an agent that will contact you and that agent will get you signed up. But in the long run, if you're married, the second one will get 50% off. But the first the platinum membership starts at like $29, guys. It's economical, cheap, but it gives you your protection you need. It gives you someone to call, someone that's got your back. Remember that prosecutor and the public defender are making deals every day, and they're hired to lower the dockets at the court system. And the crackhead who got the sweet deal just 10 minutes ago, and you're the next case on the docket, you might have to be given away to somebody, given away to the prosecutor to make up the next sweet deal for the next crackhead. Is that the guy you want on your team? Obviously not. You want more information about that? Click the link below, and it'll give you something. You need to protect yourself, because not every state you're going to travel in is going to be comfortable and they're going to be easy. Florida is pretty easy when it comes to using a firearm for self-defense purposes, but you got to make sure you get someone that's got your back. For more information, click the link in the description below, and you can find out a lot more about that. But ideally, having something that's got your back is important, especially in the civil world we live in today, because you could be criminally charged for it and be found not guilty, but still lose everything civilly. So that's kind of those stinking lawyers. They do it all the time to us. In conclusion, remember, a dumb question is a question not asked. Now, this wasn't every question people asked me. We'd be here all night, but I thought I'd pull a bunch of those out that I thought were good. New shooters do ask a lot of questions, and that's okay. We learn from asking questions. Questions build knowledge. Knowledge builds confidence. Confidence builds accuracy. So you're never afraid. So never be afraid to ask a question. All right, beautiful. That's pretty good. All right, cheers. Let's see what we got. Cheers. All right, there I am. Back to it. So I'm going to go back to the comments here and see what anybody's saying here. All right. Very good. Now, we were constant there for a while at 17. That's pretty good. Thank you very much for everyone who stayed with us this evening. That was awesome. We're still at 15 at this late in the night. And I've got maybe 3 or 4 more sips of Johnny Juice here. So any questions for me? Anything else like that? Anything happening special this week? Natasha was at the 22 shoot last night, and she I think she went up in score. We're proud of her. We have our 22 league here at the shop every Monday night, and we had a good group last night, and we'd love to have you guys join us. It's a 22 league, and every Monday night it's $20 to get into it. We pay out the top 3, and we pay out the top 3 every night. It's a score to 100. A score to 300, and each round the shooter shoots 10 rounds into a target, and we got a circle. It's a 10-9, 8-7 circle. It's like a bullseye target kind of deal, and we set them out at 5 yards, 7 yards, and 10 yards, and we have up to 5 minutes to shoot those. You can shoot any 22 you'd like. It doesn't matter, revolver, semi-automatic, obviously. And then red dot or no red dot, we don't have any kind of stages on that. So if you'd like to come and join us for next Monday night, feel free to do it. Now, we did talk to the group last night, and the group's talking about we may add 9mm into that. We may do after this one's, we have 2 more weeks of this. Then we may add in a 22 night, a 9mm night, and maybe some other way of doing it. So it's kind of we're trying to add a little bit of fun on Monday nights because that's our slowest night. But we'd love to have you from there. All right, so let's see. We got some new comments. Let's go down here and see what's up. All right. Jim, how you been, buddy? Jim, Dave's already following. Rouse from Brazil, he was in the Antarctic. That was kind of cool. That's awesome. Dave, you're already following. Thank you, David. I appreciate that very much. Sorry I missed you last few Tuesdays. Been caught up with the youths. Work with. Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. You're working with the youth, man. Hope you let them shoot a little bit. That's a good way to get a kid some respect and learn everything. Mike, how you been, buddy? Haven't seen you in a while. Um, Glad Mike Blanco. Thanks once again for your training and information. I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you very much, buddy. Hope all is well. It is Jim. Thank you very much. Great informative video, David. Thank you very much. Um, Many thanks for your love. You never stop learning. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Uh, Autocorrection. I hate those. I hate those autocorrections. That's what I blame all the time. I can't spell with the shit anyways. I always blame my wife. My laptop, my cell phone. One of the things it always asks me is, "What the hell are you saying?" I have no idea what you're saying. It just gives me a big question mark. Like, what the hell is that? So I like Siri. Siri helps me spell a lot, so it helps me a little bit. Doesn't help me all the time, but it helps me enough. Sometimes she asks me what the hell I mean by that. But yeah, we got a lot of great stuff coming, guys. We're doing a lot more informative stuff. Um, if you if you're on here this evening, I need some support. I want to make sure that you verify that you are subscribed to our channel. And I want to make sure that every time you get on there, verify you're subscribed to our channel. I'm not saying there's something going on nefarious, but I get a lot of people who tell me that they get unsubscribed somehow. And it may be an algorithm thing or something going on. But if you want to help us, support us in any way, and keep this informative information coming out to you, I got to make sure you know when it's coming out. And that's important for us. So make sure you're hitting that. Secondary thing, guys, is we do have our memberships. We have a small $2.99 membership that's a monthly thing that you can support us by doing that. That helps us with the camera equipment and things like that. It's not the end of the world if you don't do it. Just subscribing helps out tremendously. But if you have the opportunity, you can become one of our members. Once we get our members up to a point of 10 or 12, we'll do some pre-videos that you guys will only get the uh, first shot at them, basically. So that's kind of one of those fun little deals for you. Our members we're very proud of everyone we've had. Natasha, there's been a few of you guys that have been with us from the very beginning, and we appreciate it so much that you're willing to put that kind of trust into us. And it's very simple to get into our memberships by just looking through our YouTube channel and clicking become a member. There are a lot of advantages of the memberships. It gives you a lot of different stuff, but we really can't do private chats and things like that without having a few members. And a lot of you guys have been with us from the very beginning, and we'd like to gain some of those as well. So if you get an opportunity, we appreciate that. If nothing else, let me go back up, say good night to everybody real quick, and thank everybody for coming on. Obviously, Natasha's mom, thank you very much. David A., appreciate you very much. Chris Haas, always, buddy. Danny Schultz, thank you very much. Guys, Danny was having a little health problems last week, and he's doing a lot better. We are so happy about that. He is a big asset to us, and he got a scare last week, and now he's back together and he's doing okay. Scary, but he's a great guy. He actually helps us out here at the range on Tuesdays, and helps me gets my brain going once in a while. So he's a good guy. We appreciate you very much. Thank you, Danny. Ralph, always. David A, thank you. Thank you. William Hancock, thank you very much, buddy. You're always here. God bless you. Jim, you and your wife, hope you're doing wonderful. Michael Blanco, thank you, Michael. And Jim says good night. Ralph says good night. Guys, I love you very much. Thank you very much. You guys are supportive all the way through, and you are my world. Without you, it's my family first, but without you guys, and then you are why I'm doing all this stuff. We have got some unique things coming up in the future. Go ahead and click the link in that Rumble thing. I'm gonna send each and every one of you. Maybe I'll have in the description to join Rumble with me and see if I can get that off the ground a little bit. They are really different. Facebook got us into. We're running a little problem with them right now. Every time we post something about GUNs, they kick us right off the bat. I mean, I don't know what to do. It's challenging. We need those channels because it's hard for us to, but they're blocking us a lot too. We're getting shadow banned, it's not true. I don't know what it is, but just doesn't seem like we're getting the views we used to get. So we need to find that other avenue, and this Rumble may be it. But we can't go over there without bringing some good people with us. So check out the link below once we get this uploaded, and you'll be able to join us through Rumble. Until next week, guys, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. I love you very much, guys. Good night.